Hey everybody, it's QSTORM. I'm here to review Justice League. I had to get this review done. I'm getting ready to head out for Thanksgiving vacation. I know I've got bags under my eyes. My hair is looking like Fiddler from Roots. So forgive me for my appearance, but I wanted to get this out before heading out, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone, by the way. Okay, having said that, I really wanted to like this movie. So I went into it with the most positive attitude that I could muster. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's not good. It's not good. That's not to say you shouldn't go see it. I'm gonna give you a list of things that I did like about it, but what's most frustrating is that, yes, I did like this more than Batman v Superman. And this movie is a step in the right direction. But, you know, basically, the bar has been so lowered for DC that it makes it a decent movie, but that curve is really on the low end. With some better planning on the part of DC and Warner Brothers, this could have been a great film. But to do that, you'd have to go back in time to, I don't know, 2010 or so, and make it clear to these executives that the way Marvel did it, where they gave Iron Man his own franchise, Captain America had his own films, even Hulk had his own movies. They may not have been in continuity, but we all got a good sense of what Hulk was all about. That's not the case with the Justice League. You had Wonder Woman get her own film, and you had Superman get his own film prior to this. And many people have argued that Superman wasn't established properly, so then what do after that? They throw him right in with Batman and Batman v Superman. So you got two characters, one who we just meet in this new version of Batman, and Superman, who a lot of people were complaining wasn't even established before throwing him in with Batman. So then what do? Then you give Wonder Woman her own film, that's fine. But then you throw in Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. And therein, I think, lies one of the big problems with this movie. They have to spend so much screen time establishing these new characters, and on top of that, they have to, spoiler, come up with a way to revive Superman, and they have to convincingly portray them coming together and coalescing as a team, that there's very little time to establish the villain of this movie properly, or a story. So much of the story is spent in trying to show you who these new people are and create the scenario where they become a team. None of these things were done very effectively. I think the best backstory we got was Cyborg, because that was a father-son scene where we, you know, who can't identify with that? Maybe if you don't have kids, you still understand that bond between the father and son. Aquaman and the Flash, they get virtually nothing. We see the Flash meet up with his dad in prison. I don't even know why they bothered to shoot those scenes, because the Flash's character is hardly ever established. It's not like seeing Barry visit his dad in prison offered us any more motivation as to why Barry joins the team. So they really could have excised those scenes and it wouldn't have affected the plot whatsoever. And Aquaman's backstory, I mean, granted, they just spend maybe a couple of lines explaining that, but nonetheless, it's still time that has to be spent introducing these characters to us. Now, all that I just described takes place within, I'm gonna say, 20 minutes of the film. So in 20 minutes, we get to meet 3 new characters. I will give the writers credit for making an attempt to create some reason for these guys to get together. The concept of the mother boxes and how it ties in to some of the characters. For this film, it was pretty decent. It was decent. Even so, when they team up for the first time, it seems so forced. I just didn't get a sense of any type of, you know, quote unquote, getting to know each other, getting to understand each other before they're off and running fighting a major villain. It's just a little much to think that these guys could get together, gel together as a team within so short a time, and then all of a sudden take off on their first mission. And if that wasn't enough, they also have to spend time reviving Superman. It's no surprise that we all knew Superman was going to come back in this movie. And he does return, and I will say that provided one of the more entertaining scenes of the film. Even though when Superman first revives and he starts fighting, I was like, oh, he's an asshole again. It provided a nice action sequence. But I have to say, you're talking about Superman here, and the way they just kind of just haphazardly revive him, I just thought it was clumsily written. I mean, this is Superman. It's him coming back to life, literally. And I think it should have been shot a lot better. It should have been staged a lot better, plotted a lot better. It should have been more grandiose, I believe, other than just dunking him in the goo and Flash runs and charges the mother box. It seems like just so much of this movie just felt like they had an agenda and they had to get through it as fast as possible. I think another problem with this movie is the villain, Steppenwolf. Now, when he first appears, I'm going by memory now, but I recall that he's in Themyscira, and there's a mother box there. We didn't see that in Wonder Woman, of course, but there's a mother box there, and all of a sudden he appears, and he's angry. He's just angry, and he wants the mother box to do, the tired, cliche trope of he just wants to take over the world. I think at some point he mentioned Darkseid. He wanted to take it over for Darkseid. Okay, great. I guess that worked back in the 80s and early 90s. I recall General Zod in one of my favorite movies of all time, Superman 2. All he wanted to do was rule the world. But I guess in today's world, I prefer my villains to have a little bit more get up and go, a little bit more motivation other than I want to rule the world. Kind of corny today. Now, Steppenwolf's first appearance provided the second, at least for me, the second most entertaining scene in the film. I was very taken with the scene where he is chasing the Amazons trying to get a hold of the mother box. That was a very almost Indiana Jones type of thing, and I really enjoyed that. After that, Steppenwolf just became another boring two-dimensional villain. He reminded me of the villain in Thor 2, The Dark World, Malekith, that was just there as an antagonist foil and not much more. I must get this MacGuffin, and the heroes have to stop him. That's pretty much all he was. And there's a certain point in this movie where I just realized, okay, the thrill that I experienced when I first saw Steppenwolf, and once the allure of seeing these classic characters, and I might even say even characters that are more renowned than any of the Marvel characters. Seeing these classic characters on screen, it did cause me to geek out a little bit initially, but then the script gave up on me and I gave up on this movie. It just became a series of empty action sequences. I felt like I was just watching plug and play action to get us through what little story there was. I kind of enjoyed the first fight scene where the team, without Superman, they go and they meet Steppenwolf for the first time and they go to rescue some of the hostages. I liked the fight scene kind of. It was a little, Zack Snyder has this thing with fast motion, all of us, this fast herky-jerky motion, and it gets hard to kind of follow and trail the action sometimes. But I enjoyed seeing these guys fight, but I just felt like I wasn't really convinced or sold on why they were fighting together as a team, because they hadn't really done anything to earn the ability to fight with each other. As in, I felt there was no real scene of a camaraderie or a spirit of we have to do this together. It just felt like, well, we need them to fight together, so let's just team them up and get them in the first fight scene. But like I said, I got something out of that first fight scene. But then after that, there's a scene where the team is, I guess they're in Bruce's Batcave, and they're talking, and Bruce and Diana get into a squabble, and it's some of the worst dialogue. And surprisingly, it's some of the most unconvincing acting I've seen from Affleck and from Gadot, who I love as Wonder Woman. I mean, again, she may not be the physical specimen I would expect to play Wonder Woman, but I can overlook that because I think she's killed that role, but this was a little disappointing. I did like when Diana bitch slapped Bruce for bringing up Steve Trevor. That was pretty cool. It was a moment of actual human drama, which is fleeting, of course. There's nothing really of substance in this film, so that moment was really cool. Oh, well, I'll take that back. The scene between Cyborg and his dad that was pretty cool. That was a moment I can hang my hat on. But overall, it was just jigsaw puzzle by the numbers, action sequences strung together. And at that point, the scene I was just mentioning, that's when I just kind of checked out and I was like, okay, let's just wait for the next flashbang sequence. And I thought to myself, well, Superman is still, I haven't seen Superman yet, so I can just wait for that. I'm sure that will bring me what I need. The scene where he's fighting the team, again, it's not the Superman I know, but it was still exciting to watch. Of course, there were a couple of moments where I feel like Batman should have been killed, particularly when Superman grabs him by the throat or by the chin and lifts him up in the air. I figure, he should be dead. And he throws him into a police car, I think. Back should have been broken, possibly dead. Then when Lois gets out of the car, Superman just casually tosses Batman aside. They're what, I don't know, 30 feet up in the air. He's laying down. He makes a joke about something bleeding. Okay, that kind of stuff, I just gotta put my brain to sleep and just accept. But it didn't make sense to me. What was the need to have Diane Lane in this movie and have Superman go to Kansas, and that's the place where Lois convinces Superman to join the fight? Why not just combine that scene with the scene at the memorial where Superman has his first fight with the team? Just have Lois convince him there. I just didn't see the need for Diane Lane to be in this movie. That could have been edited out. It didn't make sense to me that they went to fight Steppenwolf when they went to all this trouble to revive Superman. Give the guy a couple hours to calm down at least. But I suppose they structured the script that way so that you could have the heroic entrance of Superman after the team looks like they're down in the fight against Steppenwolf, and then Superman arrives like the cavalry at the last minute. I get it, but I just feel like you could have done that. You could have done a scene where Superman agrees to go off to the fight with them, and it could have been just as grand as him showing up at the last minute. And it would have made more sense. And that last fight scene, the climax, I mean, ultimately it just proved how feckless an enemy or a villain Steppenwolf was. It was like they were just running out the clock until they get their inner strength together and they're able to beat this guy. The heroes didn't really find a clever way to defeat him. So for me, that just reduced that whole fight scene to just explosions, punches, until they fill enough time that they can wrap up the movie. For me, the most interesting character in this movie was Wonder Woman. I thought she was good in this movie. Her first fight scene, she started off a little corny with a lot of corny poses, but you know, she eventually relaxed into the role, and there's a scene where she uses super speed. I didn't know she had that power set. I think this movie does take liberties with a lot of the power sets, particularly Aquaman. I want another solo film with her. I kind of like this Superman. I like the scene. I kind of geeked out where Flash is running to do something. I don't remember what it is at this point. That's another failing of the movie, I think. And Superman flies up beside him and says, "Oh, slowpoke." And he's smiling. This Superman is smiling. And he has charm and a personality. Why could they have given that to us in Man of Steel? If it takes death to give us this Superman when he wakes up, kill him in every movie. I still think he needs more hair and he needs that cowlick, but this is the Superman that I can work with. I can at least work with this. He's still not perfect, but I can work with him. When he and Cyborg are blown back by the explosion, when they release the mother boxes or whatever, and Superman's laying on the ground, all kind of injured, and he's laughing with Cyborg. I'm like, yes, that is Superman. What took you so long, guys? So that's two things I liked about the movie. It was cool to hear Danny Elfman's Batman score from the Tim Burton movies. And I am ashamed to say, because I guess enough people are claiming that this is the case, you know, the Superman theme from John Williams, back as a kid, when I first heard that inspired me to write music, to write songs, and to get into music. It was the first album I bought. The second one was Thriller, but I digress. People are saying that music is played in this film. I don't remember hearing it. It means so much to me, that music. I'm willing to go see this movie again just to hear that, because I completely missed it. I was somewhat disappointed with Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and his Batman in this film. I mean, it wasn't bad per se, but it didn't hold a candle to how electric and how exciting he was in Batman v Superman. His solution for everything in this movie is just to build bigger machines and blow up shit. I thought Flash and Aquaman were completely annoying. I hated both those characters. Flash was just the sidekick, comic relief. He was the Kevin Hart of this movie. I like Kevin Hart, but you know, okay, anyway. Aquaman, I didn't believe him for a second. He's like a Roadhouse dude who somehow has inherited the throne of Atlantis. We got some sort of lame backstory where he was left on someone's doorstep. I don't know if that's his origin as canon. I don't know. I don't know that much about Aquaman, but I didn't buy him as Aquaman for 1 second. Again, another punchline, another joke. He and Flash belonged in another movie. I can sum up how I felt about this movie similar to how I felt when I saw Wonder Woman. This is a case where the whole is not greater or equal to the sum of its parts. By the way, was anyone on the set watching the monitor when they had Ezra Miller doing his running scene with Superman? That was the most ridiculous thing. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into Lex Luthor in a post-credit scene. Yeah, that's still not Lex. Don't put him in another movie, please. I don't know who that skinny, wimpy, bald guy is, but it's not Lex Luthor. Anyway, I do think this film is a step in the right direction. For too long, DC has been putting out poor to bad films. Maybe Man of Steel was okay. So this movie being mediocre to fair is a step in the right direction. And because of that, I'm feeling generous. I'm gonna give it 2.5 stars. And that's the martini.